Good morning. This is Joyce at Delightful Quilting and Sewing in Avon, New York with another Tech Tuesday. Today I want to talk about tension. You know, that dreaded tension where you actually have to touch this knob and adjust it? Well, we're going to talk about this for the next few minutes. Basically, knowing what to do with your tension actually starts with what you see. What is your desired outcome? Obviously, one of the things we don't want to see is we don't want to see any bobbin thread on the top. But just because we don't see any bobbin thread on the top doesn't mean there isn't a problem. So we have to be conscious of what's going on the bottom side of our quilt when we're quilting. This is the back of a quilt. We see good tension here too. We don't see any top thread coming down into the back here. So what is good tension all about? Well, this is what it is right here. You have to have a balanced stitch so that your top thread and your bottom thread come together in the middle of your batting. Anything less than that is not going to cut it. You don't want to see these red threads from the bottom coming out the top or poking out the top or even flatlining on the top. And you don't want to see any of the green, which represents the top thread, being pulled down below your backing and flatlining or poking down through into here. This is what we have to have, those top and bottom thread, the top and the bobbin thread coming together in the middle in the batting. And we have to adjust it until it is in the middle of the quilt sandwich. So where does it all start? Well, believe it or not, it starts with loading your quilt. If your quilt isn't loaded the way it should be, that could be causing problems. When you're loading your quilt, you want to make sure that the quilt sandwich is even, and I obviously don't have one here, but the quilt sandwich needs to be loaded evenly between your rollers, and you want to make sure that your back take-up roller is down and you can only stick your fingers comfortably underneath the back. You'd be surprised how many times it's because the top roller is too high and the quilt is on an angle that you're getting tension problems. Also, you do not want your quilt sandwich too tight. There needs to be a little bit of room there so that when you're actually moving the machine around, you can see the throat of the machine moving underneath that quilt sandwich. I know there's a lot of people out there that say that quilt sandwich has to be tight, drum tight. You could drop a quarter on it and it would be like a trampoline. No, there needs to be some slack in it so that the throat of the machine can move around. And as the needle of the machine is going up and down and up and down, it flexes, which can cause something that looks like a tension issue, but there needs to be room for that needle as it's going up and down to go in and out of the fabric. So there's a number of factors that can affect good tension. One of them, believe it or not, is if you have a computer system like an IQ system, or like over here on this one, a QuiltMagine system. With both of these systems, they're operating with a belt or a motor. Right here, this one, QuiltMagine has a belt, vertical and horizontal belt, that is moving the system around. And the IQ system has two motors, one that moves the machine this way and one on the back underneath the thread there that moves it horizontally. So those are guiding the machine with precision stitching. And that has a tendency to tighten up the tension just a little bit, make it work a little bit tighter than what you've actually set it for. So setting the tension. One of the things that I highly recommend is using this right here, a device called the TOA bobbin gauge. And I have a free video online that you can see how to use the TOA bobbin gauge. With this, you are setting the bobbin tension. You're adjusting it so that the number over here on the scale will read a specific number. And for knotting machines with an L bobbin, that's going to be 100 to 125. And for an M bobbin, it's going to be up around 200, 175 to maybe 225 on the scale when you're pulling the thread. it's very important to set the bobbin tension first before you do anything else. You set the bobbin tension with your toe gauge, you put your bobbin in your machine, and you forget about it. After that, all you're concerned about is adjusting your top knob here until you have a balanced stitch. So setting your top tension, it's important to have a piece of fabric over the edge of your quilt sandwich. I don't have an edge here, but the batting and backing are sticking out here. You put a piece of fabric over top of that that's similar to the quilt top, and you're going to do some stitching. Some little circles, some points, little straight lines and points, and adjust your tension while you're testing it there. Do not start on your quilt. Always adjust your tension. Every bobbin change, adjust your tension. You may not need to adjust it, but check your tension. And one of the key factors to all of this is making sure that you've warmed up your machine before you start to quilt. It's very important. Down here in the bobbin area, right in there, there's moving parts. There's moving parts up here in the head. But especially down in the bobbin area, down in here, those parts, especially the hook assembly, as it works, those metal parts begin to warm up. As that's rotating and rotating and rotating down there with every stitch, those metal parts warm up and they expand a little bit. The bobbin case warms up and it expands as well as it's in the machine. If you've adjusted your tension for quilting before your machine is warmed up, and then those parts warm up, the tension is not going to be the same. So always, always, always warm up your machine. I warm up mine for about 5 minutes minimum, sometimes 10 minutes. I turn it on, just let it run in the non-regulated mode. So that would be on the Pro here. I turn it over into the non-regulated side, somewhere about right there, and I just let it warm up. I turn the machine on and I walk away. Now, if you do that, when you do that, not if, make sure that your thread is taken out of your machine and is out back of the take-up lever right here. Do not have any thread in the take-up lever. You can put your bobbin case without the bobbin into your machine, and that's a good idea. So make sure your thread is out of your take-up lever, and I secure mine here by wrapping it around my handle several times so that it doesn't get sucked into the machine in some way and wrapped around somewhere where it would be a long time to get it out, hard to get it out. So warm up your machine. It's extremely important. After it's warmed up, then go ahead and check your tension along the side of your quilt. Always, always use the setting that you're going to use on your machine. If you're using a stitch regulated mode and you're going to be using 12 stitches to the inch on your quilt, use 12 stitches when you're checking your tension. I cannot emphasize how important it is to test it with the same stitch that you're going to be using. With this machine and IQ on it, IQ runs over here when it's operating on the non-regulated side. So when I check the tension for using it with the IQ system, I always check it over here on the non-regulated side. Over here on the NV that I have set up with QuiltMagine, QuiltMagine operates off from the precision stitch on here, or the stitch regulated mode. So I'm going to check my tension with the number of stitches per inch that I'm going to be using when I'm using QuiltMagine. If you're doing free motion quilting, hand-guided quilting, set the machine for whatever stitch you're going to be using when you're quilting. And it's very important to do that. If you change the stitch length, that changes how the machine behaves and how the tension is going to, the resulting tension that you're going to get when you're actually quilting. So important to do that. So just to recap a little bit here, believe it or not, there's probably about 9 or 10 different factors that can affect tension, makes it look like a tension problem. And of those 9 or 10 factors, nearly all of them cannot be changed by adjusting the tension dial. For example, like I said, making sure your take-up roller is level and down close enough that only you can stick your fingers underneath it. So there's a lot of factors that affect tension other than just setting the tension dial. And of course, adjusting tension before you start quilting is very important so that you get this stitch. Now, the way I adjust mine is, when I'm adjusting it, I look down in the needle hole and I want to see that bobbin thread down in the needle hole. I have to see that bobbin thread down in the needle hole. If I see it down in the needle hole, I know that my top thread is not down here at the bottom. And since I had started adjusting tension in that way, I almost never, ever have a problem with my top thread being pulled down too low. So I mentioned a video on how to use the TOA gauge. You can find that by going to our website, delightful-qs.com. One of the new tabs along the top of our website is long arm techniques. And under that, you will find videos. These Tuesday talks are going to be listed under there, as well as the other videos that I've done over the years. And one of those videos is the tension one. And on that page, there's a screen that has a drop down, and you will find it listed there. It's called Perfect Long Arm Tension with the TOA gauge. So I hope this has been a little review for you in how to adjust the tension, how to work with the tension, so that as you're working with your quilts, you don't get too frustrated, and you know that there is a solution. You just have to figure out what the problem is at the moment. So happy quilting.